Alright, today I'm going to show you how to import a clip art file to add to any type of project. So we're just going to go here and create a new job, job setup. I'm just going to say this might be something I might want to put in a cutting board or something else. So we'll say maybe 9 inches by 6 inches in our height, and my thickness here is going to be 3/4 of an inch, so I changed that in my Z. So I'm going to go off of the center of the board here at this point, keep my units in inches, and I'll click OK to get into there. Now all I want to do at this point is come up with and import some type of image onto that board so that I can create some vector art going off of it. So we'll go down here to Google, and I'll just do a real quick search here for basketball clip art. We're getting close to March Madness time here, so we'll just do basketball clip art. See what comes up. We got our choices. Let me change over to images here. So what I'm really kind of looking for is a black and white image works best. Have to do a little bit less with that than some of the others. And you got to kind of consider when you're doing this how you want it to look and cut. You know what? I see a Charlie Brown there that looks kind of interesting shooting a basket. See a few others here. There's a couple of silhouettes. Actually, I'm going to go right here with this one right now. So I'll clip on this art, and all I have to do is down or right click and save this image onto my desktop. So now this is good. That's a JPEG. Typically you want either JPEGs or bitmaps. They'll work a little bit better than some of the others for you. So we'll go ahead and we'll click that and save that. Alright, now let's go back to VCarve here. I can import that image in. Up here in File Operations, we've got Import Bitmap for tracing. So I'm just going to click that tool, and I'm going to go to where I save that file. There it is, basketball clip art. So click OK, and it comes in size. Now at this point you can go ahead and you can kind of grab and highlight and size and move that around a little bit to wherever you want it to be. You can even kind of take so once we get this in, I'm going to zoom out. So we'll go ahead and we're going to create some, what we need now is the vectors to go with that. And this particular image should be pretty easy to do. We're going to go where it says create vectors, and we have a trace bitmap tool right here. So I'm just going to click trace. Notice here when we do this, type of tracing to color we can either use color images or black and white. Black and white works best. Color works, but there's a lot more to it, and a lot more things that have to do to really get your images the way you want. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth. Now if you take this number of colors threshold, you'll notice it kind of moves in and out. You see, if your resolution on your screen is set, you can see it gets a little spotty when you're down to the minimum. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this all the way over to the max. Notice now I got extra stuff, and what's picking up is some pixelization there in that image. So that's too much there. So let's move it back till we get a nice clean crisp image. Usually what I've found best, somewhere between like 70 and 85% generally works best on that. We've got a corner fit, so you can be tight and you can be loose. You can play around with this. Same thing with the noise filter. I don't usually do a whole lot with corner fit or noise filter when it's a black and white image. That usually works a little bit better when you're trying to get a colored image on there. And same with bitmap fading, but if you go ahead, just slide it back and forth, you can kind of see how it makes it change. So I'm going to go ahead on the bitmap fading here. We want that pretty dark, so I'm going to move that over to the left side closer to none as opposed to full. And we're going to preview. We'll click this preview button right there. And you can see how now I got the vector lines going around there. So I like that as it is, so I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. We'll close out of this. Now, going back, if you double click, you can move the image out of the way. At this point, I generally try to just go ahead and get rid of that image and delete it out. Again, that's completely up to you. If you want to keep it there, you can get kind of lined back up. That's up to you. I like to delete it out and get rid of it because I don't really need it anymore. And I'm left here with my basketball image there for that. Now, I don't necessarily like him going in that way, so I'm going to highlight on my vector art, and I can come up here on any of the corner and I can rotate that around. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate this around here, kind of keep this centralized, and then I'm going to expand it a little bit more, just play around till you get it the way you want it to be. Expand it a little bit more here, just kind of get that to be the right touch. Take your time. Good projects, quality projects take some time to do. Don't rush through it. So, and now I've got it positioned the way it wants. Now, this is going to be a real quick program to actually write when I go in there. So I'm going to come over here to my 2D view control, click the switch to toolpaths tab. That opens up all these toolpaths that I have. I've got a profile, I've got tool pocketing toolpath, I got VCarve engraving. But before I can assign a toolpath to anything, I got to select the vector that I want. So in this case, I'm going to select that vector, and I'm going to say I want to do a pocketing routine with this. So I'm going to go ahead with a pocket toolpath. So notice here I've got my cutting depths. Start depth is 0, and I want that at 0. That's going to be the top of my part at Z0. If I put, say, 0.032 or 32nd of an inch, that means I'm starting a 32nd into the actual board. That could be potential crash related there. So sometimes you want to use that start depth if you have already cleaned out and have a shoulder and are going in there, then that's when you really want to use the start depth. But other than that, you generally want to stay at 0 on your start depth so you don't crash that tool into the top of your part. So my cut depth here is 1/8, which is good. I like 1/8. We'll go 1/8. And in this case, it's saying 1/8 of an inch taper ball mill. I don't want the taper ball mill. I want to go ahead. I'm going to go up, and I want to be able to machine this a little faster. 1/8 is pretty slow as far as it'll take a lot of passes. So I'm going to go right for the 1/2 inch straight end mill to clean that out. And all I have to do now is go and calculate. And it creates my lines on there. Let me put a isometric view up here by clicking this, and we'll go ahead and preview the visible toolpath here to see what it looks like. So, and now the tool simulation, you can speed up your tool cut or slow it down however you want. I've got mine going as fast as it'll go, and there's my preview. Now, notice it does not look anything at all like my vector art. So, gotta ask why. Well, the main reason here is my cutter selection was too large. So as I go back to here, at the ankles and at the arm here, that's pretty thin lines. So your cutting tool that you select has to be able to fit inside those lines in order to get in there. So not a problem. Real quick way to fix this is I'll go back to my pocket toolpath. I'll double click on it. I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to go back and I'll select, we'll select a 1/4 inch down cut end mill. So 1/4 inch, I'll hit OK. Let's go back and recalculate here. Now I'm going to clear this preview out. Notice the toolpath we get some more. All these blue lines are the actual toolpath that you follow, that'll follow. And then you've got the lines that go in. That's called a step over with that. So let's real quick preview this and see if it comes out. We're getting better, a little bit more of the image. So, but we're still not getting it all. So I do still need to get one more toolpath in there to go. And in this case, since I've got the majority of it out, and I know that I'm pretty thin here, rather than going in, if I have the ability to change tools, I can, and this will speed up my machining too, I can go in with a larger diameter tool to machine it out, and then I can go in with a smaller diameter tool to do a profile cut here. And that's what I'm going to do here with this. Is my next tool will be a profile tool path. I want to go to 1/8 depth again, and notice here I'll select this tool, and I'm going to select a 1/8 straight end mill or router bit here. So, and we can be inside left. When you're using the profile toolpath, you can be outside right, which means that I'm going to be machining on the outside of the line. If I go inside left, it means it's going to be inside the line. If I go on, it means it's going, the center of the cutter is going to be directly cutting on the line. So we'll see whether this works. I'm not real sure exactly. I'm going to go inside left. Again, if it doesn't have enough clearance to fit between here and there, then this won't work. So we'll see. So there we go. Let's go ahead and we'll preview this tool path. And there I go. Now when I set this up and I change out those tools, I'll have to make sure that I blend the bottom in with each other so that I don't get a step at the bottom, or if I don't cut too deep. And here, of course, is what we will end up, our part will look like as we go. So let me kind of turn that for you a little bit there. As you can see, that's what it'll look like as we go. Let me run that through one more time. So we'll reset the preview here. Let me get the isometric view and back up a little bit. Click both of these tool paths, and I will go ahead and preview all tool paths. So here is my first cutter. That's the 1/2 inch diameter cutter, and then it goes back around with the 1/8 inch diameter cutter, and I'm left with my object. Now close that out so you get a machine time here. And just to let you know difference, there is a calculation. I can use this summary there. Notice that total machine time here is about 1 minute and 17 seconds. So I'm going to change out right now. I'm going to delete that profile cut, and I'm going to go back into the pocket. Remember, 1 minute 17 seconds was what we were at. I'm going to change this tool path to the 1/8 of an inch end mill to begin with, and we'll see. We'll recalculate this and re-preview, and then we'll see if we really did save any time or should to change out tool bits, or whether we should have just gone ahead and just cut with a smaller one. So let's go ahead here again. It's going to take longer because it's got to take more paths to cut through there. So we're done. There's our display. And checking the time here, we were 2 minutes and 27 seconds with that particular cutter. So it did take longer to cut this way, but you have to ask yourself, I save a minute by using 2 cutters. Is it going to take me longer than a minute to change out the cutting tool? That's up to you to decide whether you want to take that or not, or just cut with a smaller diameter tool. But these are some of the things that you play around with when you're trying to optimize your program and get it to where it's going to actually work the way you want. So close this out. You know, we can zoom in and you can actually see the corner here as that goes, which Again, if you wanted to put a radius inside this corner here, then you'd use like a ball nose end mill or a bull nose instead. That's going to give you a radius in there. So anyway, I wanted to show you this is a way that we can real quick capture some clip art, put it into VCarve, create the vector art off of that, and then write our toolpaths to go ahead and get it machined. From this next step, you're just going to output and save your toolpath so that you get the G-code for your machine to run. I'll show you, and we'll talk about that later. Or today I just wanted to talk about and show you how we can use any type of clip art, to black and white clip art, to get us a vector art that we can use in VCarve. So thanks for watching.